What's up, everybody? This is Coach Sharf, and welcome back to my Algebra 2 Advanced Algebra lesson videos. So today is another one of our lessons from Unit 1, the Statistics Unit. It's about sample sizes. Those sample sizes, when you're trying to find statistics about a sample size, in this case, the average length of some words, how sample size affects your average, how close it might be to the actual average. And if you're selecting a sample yourself versus a random sample, what that looks like. So without any further ado, let's jump in. I will go ahead and say most of this. Again, I'm gonna tell y'all what to do, but this is one, most of it, you're still gonna have to do stuff on your own. So this video might be a little shorter, but in terms of length, but y'all probably gonna have to stop and pause and do stuff on your own. Okay. All right. So we have ourselves the actual Gettysburg Address. Again, little history backdrop here. It was delivered by President Lincoln in November 1963 on the battlefield. As the Battle of Gettysburg was ending, and I believe, if I remember correctly, it was the deadliest battle of the Civil War, as this was one of the main battles that really started, ensuring the tide was of the war was fully turning with the North, even though both sides suffered heavy losses. So here's the Gettysburg Address. So it's from, let me annotate. It's from here to here. All right. It's the whole thing. So go ahead and take a minute and read it. Go ahead and take a minute and read it, pause and read it, and then we can move on. All right. So in this investigation, we will address the question, how long are the words in the Gettysburg Address? 1A says, what are the population and variable of interest for this investigation? So again, this kind of goes back a little bit to the statistical reasoning lesson, because we talked about, in particular, the two charts, the charts about the characteristics about your classmates, left, right-handed, pulse, all that, and then the coffee shop. So it said individuals instead of population. So still kind of talking about the same thing. The population we're interested in here, what we're talking about are all the words of the Gettysburg Address. I'm going to just put GA for short. And the variable of interest, how long are the words, the length. So the number, I might have put length in class, but the number of letters per word. Describe how you would select a sample of words to produce a sample that is similar to, in parentheses, representative of the population. The wording on this is I don't like the wording of it, but it's basically saying, if you didn't want to look at the entire Gettysburg Address, but you wanted to take a snapshot that was representative of the entire Gettysburg Address, how would you determine that snapshot? How would you determine what words to get a sample of? When I was phrasing this y'all in class, it was more or less, we got to get a big enough sample size to cover it. That's kind of how I was phrasing it. So I said the first quote unquote paragraph is not even paragraph. It's really just one sentence with 3 commas thrown in. That's not long enough. The last paragraph, if you count it out, I think has more than 50% of the words. So, if you're going to look at that one, you might as well look at the entire address, right? So I said to me personally, the middle paragraph is long enough to be a good sample size, but still short enough where it just just makes as much sense to analyze the entire address. So I'm trying to remember exactly what I put because this says describe how, but I believe I said go back up. I know I didn't word it like this in any other class, but pick a chunk that's supposed to be an A. That's not too small, but also not a majority of the Gettysburg Address. And then you could put second paragraph in parentheses. Because to me, when I read that question, that's what I see. That's what I think would work. Okay. All right. I'm gonna pause that if you need to copy it, and I'm moving on. All right, so y'all about to gather information 3 different times. Okay. So the first way we're going to select a sample is called self-selection. Okay. And what they want y'all to do is self-selection, which is essentially what I did. I decided what we were going to address, and I thought that that second paragraph would be best, right? But we don't even have to go that big. Again, I don't necessarily disagree with it because we're picking 10 words, okay? And y'all see the actual word count here shortly, but 10 words isn't, it's not to me, it's not a decent enough size portion, but we're going to do it with these time sessions, okay? So with self-selection, use your eyes and circle 10 words you think are representative of the varying word lengths in the Gettysburg Address. So hopefully you read it once, like I said at the start. Now you need to go back and analyze it and try to pick out words you think represent the larger word makeup. So what I was trying to help y'all with, if y'all were not just trying to randomly do it, and y'all see in a minute, even if you randomly do it, it's not as random as you think. But when I see where it says the varying word lengths, what it does not mean is you pick one letter word, one 2-letter word, one 3-letter word, so on, so on, so on. So you're not going to do a in any long, great nation, fitting, dedicate, consecrate. That's 10. So I'll skip consecrate. That's 10. Where's 9? Dedicated. I know we already said dedicated. Let's try to use something dedicated. Government's 10. Do I have another 9 somewhere? Remaining's 9. Remaining and government. So that's 10 words, but if you see, I literally did 1 letter, 2 letter, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's not what it's saying when it says the varying word lengths. Okay. But it does want you to try to address the longer words and the shorter words. So again, it also doesn't mean just when it says the varying word lengths, it doesn't mean just pick out 10 4-letter words or anything like that. Okay. What it kind of means to me is this: if you read this whole thing and you think about 20% of the words are 4 letters in the entire Gettysburg Address, then you're going to pick 2 words because we're picking 10 back in that chart. So 2 words, 2 out of 10, which is 20%, that are 4 letters long. So pour and work. Okay. If you think 30% of the words are 5 letters, then you would pick 3 out of 10, 3 5-letter words, which these birth. Okay. That's kind of how I picture it. Which again is if y'all go too far down that rabbit hole, you're gonna start diving more deep than you need to and just counting. So if you don't think you can kind of get a good idea just from eyeballing it, again, just randomly pick 10 words. It's not gonna be as random as you think, like I said, but you can just randomly pick 10 words. Okay. So you need to circle those 10 words in the Gettysburg Address, and then you can come back and write them here. So I'm gonna do the first few words just so an example. You literally did the first few words of the Gettysburg Address. Before, score, and 7 years ago. You pick 4 more, but whatever words you pick, you write down, and then you literally count 4 letters. Score is 5 letters, and is 3 letters, 7 is 5 letters, years is 5 letters, ago is not 6, 3, what am I doing? 3 letters, so count how many ever letters are in each word, and then down here at the bottom where it says total, you're going to add up your 10 numbers and get a total there, okay? So y'all are doing that on your own. After you do that, whatever word links you get, you're going to make a dot plot like we made in the first assignment. So if you had, again, we said if you had 2 4-letter words, 3 5-letter words, say 2 6-letter words, a 7, a 8, and a 3. Okay. Again, you need to do whatever you actually do. Don't just, if this does not match this, I'm going to know you're just trying to copy what I did. Okay. So whatever you get over here, that's what's going to go for your dots. Again, obviously you don't have to necessarily compare to your classmates, right? Don't have to compare to your classmates, but you're going to have your dot plot. It says, based on your dot plot, comment on the shape, center, and variability of your sample data distribution. So let me back up the dots I had. So again, if you're watching this after a certain point, we started talking about what is a normal distribution in another assignment. But for this assignment, when we talk about a normal distribution, we're talking about the curve, the shape of the curve, but also the shape of the curve is made because how the data is distributed. But really, when we're talking about normal distribution, it's talking about how the data is distributed, okay? So this would be a normal distribution. If it looks, again, doesn't have to look quite like this, but if it's kind of a normal looking curve, okay? If your dots, again, try to match it the best you can. Not all of them are going to match this quite entirely, but if you kind of had one that looked like this and kind of had a longer tail here and, the short one here, this would be called skewed. I should write the name for that one too. All right, in a second. Skewed right. Okay, I actually flip this in most of the classes. I always do that when I teach this. It's skewed to the right because our extra data points are going out to the right. That's what's taking this arm and stretching it out further. Okay. And then if you had skewed left, it would kind of look like this. Okay. You have a longer leg going to the left than you do to the right. So that's skewed, skewed, left. Previous one was skewed right. And where it just looks normal is a normal distribution. Okay. For the sake of this and not being in class, I'm not really that worried about your center and your variability in particular. I guess we could talk about center, but again, it's gonna depend on whatever data you got. More y'all, the way I just drew mine just to get it down, but more y'all's is actually probably gonna be up here, which we'll talk about. We'll talk about further down the paper. When it says center, you don't have to actually calculate the mean or figure out what the median is, but still try to eyeball it about what the middle of your data is, what would be a good center. Again, this one's pretty evenly distributed, and 5's gotten the most, so I would say the center is 5, just for those dots that I did. Okay. Did you use a strategy for selecting words in your sample? Describe your strategy. And you do need to write something for that. You do need to write something for that. I'm actually want to see how many of y'all copy that. If anybody has, I should say this. I know I can't do it. I'll get in trouble. If anybody actually writes something and submits that, every person who does it should have to pay me $10. So did you use a strategy? You need to write something. If you actually, again, y'all just did it. So if you kind of add a strategy like I talked about, 20% of the words are 4 letters, 30% are 5 letters, whatever. If you really think you just did it random, I really think I randomly chose. All right. I already wanted to know this video is still taking longer than I wanted. Let me see if I can speed it up a little bit here. Okay. Determine the mean word length of your sample. So you're already supposed to add them up. All right. You're already supposed to add them up here. All right. You're already supposed to add them up. So since there's 10 words, you're literally just going to divide whatever that is by 10. And even more simplified, if it says report your mean to the closest 1 decimal place, for example, 7.1. So if you had 71 total letters, you divide by 10, you would move that decimal 1 spot to the left, which is what would make it 7.1, right? So take your total, divide it by 10, for whatever that number is there for 4. Number 5, we did the class dot plots. We did those in class, but for the sake of this, we'll go ahead and move past that. Part 2, simple random sampling. Another way to select a sample from a population to use simple random sampling. How do we select a simple random sample from 10 words of the Gettysburg Address? So instead of y'all picking a word yourself, we're going to do it random. How are we going to do it random? Okay. So your teacher will provide you with a list of the 268 words. So that's how many there are total, the Gettysburg Address. That list is down here at the bottom. Okay. 2 pages. So how we're going to do it randomly, it says your teacher will provide instructions about halfway down. Teacher provides instructions on how to select 10 distinct random integers between 1 and 268. Easiest thing for y'all to do is going to be this. Move this down here now. If you go to Google, I already have it in the search bar. If you want to type it here, that's fine. But you're going to type in random number generator. And see, it's already popped up. Type in random number generator, hit enter, and you'll automatically have this pop up here before it even goes to any website. It says the minimum is 1, the maximum is 10. We're going to change the max to 268 because that's the number of words in the Gettysburg Address. Now, what you're going to do after that is you're going to click generate 10 times. Okay. Click generate 10 times, and each number you get, you're going to write in that table. Let me go back to that table. Oh, where's it? Here we go. So the first time you click and you get a number, it's going to go in this first box under random integer. Next number would go in the second box all the way down till you get 10 numbers. And if you, this is in your packet, so if you're following along in your packet, this is the 11th box on the bottom. It's only here because of this total column. So you shouldn't have a number here in this last box, just the first 10. So again, you need to do this on your own, but showing y'all as an example. I hit generate, I got 74. So I would put in 74 right there. Okay. Then you would go back to this, click it again. Now I got 254. So I'll go ahead and write 254, and you're going to do that until you get all 10. After you have your numbers, now you got to pull out that chart. So you got random integer 74. So what that means is you got to go down here and find word number 74, which is right here. If y'all can see it, field. Okay. So I circled field, but you also got to do the number of letters, which I didn't do. It's 5 letters. Okay. It's 5 letters. So come back up here. Actually center this for the center. I don't know if it will. There we go. All right. So you did 74. Field. 5 letters. Then you then go find whatever it has for 254. Do that. All 10 words. You write them down. You get the length of the word. And again, you're going to total them down here. So after you do that, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to do the dot plot like you did previously. You then need to tell me again, I'm not worried about variability, you know, if y'all are doing it at this point, but you need to tell me the shape. So normal distribution, skewed left or skewed right, and the center. Estimate about what you think the center is. Write those down here. Number 7, determine the mean word length. Again, same thing. Whatever your total was, divided by 10. Number 8 is putting the dot plot up. Number 9 is comparing the dot plots. So if we had compared the dot plots, you should have seen that the again, this is us talking about variability too. The self-selected samples would have had a higher center. Again, this is for the most part. It's not guaranteed every time, but a higher center and more variability. Okay. So you need to write that for number 9. Number 10, which sampling method do you think is more likely to produce a sample representative of the population? Explain your reasoning. So that one's going to be random, because what you would have seen is, and we'll talk about it here in a second, random is more likely to get get closer to the mean. Okay, the true mean. So when we say the true mean, looking at number 11, it's a histogram, which again is kind of half bar chart, half dot plot. There's no y-axis to tell you how many words. This bar is for, there's nothing here. So it means this first bar is for 1 word, second bar is for 2 words, third bar is for 3 words, so on. So there's no y-axis to tell you how many words are 2 letters long, 3 letters long, 4 letters long, whatever. But the bars still kind of give you an idea of the distribution, right? Again, tell me the shape and center for that histogram. Okay. Number 12, the actual mean is approximately 4.3 characters. Let's compare your sample means from each method. Specifically using self-selected. So when everybody plotted their means together, for the most part, self-selected would be above 4.3, and random for the most part are going to be around 4.3. More likely to actually be around the true mean. Okay. So why is this? This is because when you are self-selecting, you actually produce biased results. If y'all read that first paragraph, when you're self-selecting and you're picking the words out to yourself, your eyes are generally going to be drawn to longer words. When you're reading a passage, you're going to notice the longer words first versus a bunch of shorter words. That's the main reason why. Now, if y'all have actually been doing this on your own, I mean, you did somewhat on your own if you've been watching this video, but if you truly did on your own without me walking you through it here, when y'all did it in class and I told y'all to do the self-selection on your own, y'all didn't know why you're picking the words. So there might even been a chance you picked longer words just because you thought you picking longer words was going to, show something, show 2 or 3 different things versus just picking some shorter words or picking what you truly thought were random words. Okay. So that's the reason why there. Part 3, again, you're going to go back to the random number generator and you're going to get 5 more numbers, which are going to go here. So you're going to get 5 more numbers, go to the chart, pick out the words, get the length of the word, compute the mean. Now we're going to divide it by 5 instead of 10 because we only got 5 words. And we would make another dot plot. So you need to write the mean for number 13. You don't have to write anything else, but what y'all would actually find is the smaller sample, even though it's still random, since it's a smaller sample, if you think about it, if you randomly happen to get a longer word, you only have 4 more words, if they were shorter, to bring down that average. So a longer word has a greater chance of pulling your average up, particularly above that 4.3, than even if you had 10 words. Because if you had 1 long word and 4 short words, the longer word can still kind of, pull each of the shorter words up a little bit. But if you had 1 long word and 9 short words, then, it's almost like the shorter words are going to pull down that average of the longer one, basically to where the average is, supposed to be. All right, so that's it for this video. Let me stop sharing. That's after that video. Make sure you got everything down you're supposed to, get it uploaded, and let me know if y'all got any questions. Till next time, I'll see y'all in class.